gaining some ground, making a sound. How you like that? Yeah.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of On Point with a very special guest again. And on the fifth episode of this special personal branding episode, my guest today is Leon. Leon is somebody that has been in the space of content creation for a long time. He is a speaker, he's a personal branding expert. He helps a lot of people understand their personal brand and also help them understand the importance of content creation and how it can help your personal brand grow. And that's why today I want to take you all on this journey to explore more about these avenues and also the future opportunities linked with your own personal brands. So, Leon, thank you very much for being a part of this show. And how are you doing?
Mark, thank you so much. Pleasure to be here. I want to say that you're probably exaggerating when you tell the folks that I'm an expert. I'm still trying to figure out. Maybe I know a little bit more than the average folk. But we are all on a journey of trying to get better and understand our brand and our voice.
Amazing. And look, I know that a lot of the guests that I have, the first time when I actually introduce them, all of them actually are humble on trying to understate the achievements that they've done. But I totally understand. But I wanted to mention this because I've seen that your content creation journey has been in the making. First understanding the content creation. You've also taken a lot of stages, as a recruiter, as a career advisor, and also helping people understand what their right career pathways are, and then taking that in a digital format where you're now helping people and also employers understand the importance of how stories can link with understanding people, creating a very friendly culture, and also understanding the power of stories in the totality of how people go through different experiences, and those experiences can empower others around them. So this is something that we'll definitely explore further in this session, and I'm very glad that you've taken time on a Friday evening. We're about to go off on a weekend, but you're still giving me time, and it is just fantastic of you. I also wanted to, mention that this is being live streamed on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. So if you guys have any comments, questions, do put them out in the comment below, and we'll answer them throughout. I'm also mentioning Leon's, socials and also mine, so you guys can stay connected with us on that. And right after we're done with this will be staying on those platforms for everybody to learn more and engage with our content. So, Leon, talking about the weekend, we're just starting off. What are your plans, and what are you doing over the weekend?
Yeah, so I'm based in Ireland, and I live in a small town, so there is not a lot happening here. We have the beach and the mountains, so we are kind of privileged because of that. And it's gonna be another relaxing weekend, probably looking after some of the content and projects that I have as well, looking ahead for next week.
Amazing. And Leon, looking at your recently launched, there's a lot happening, around you when it comes to content creation.
Too much.
You recently launched a podcast. My favorite author for her book, her last book, and I think she's now written a new book and she's launched.
Yes.
Radical Candor for me has been one of the game changers on the space of leading people, guiding people, and also being honest with those feedbacks, because most of the time we take feedback as some place where we sandwich or package number of communications in order to just give feedback in the nicest form possible so person accepts it. That book, Radical Candor, for me has helped me understand there's a level of responsibility that comes to each role, each communication, each person you need to deal that. There's a formula behind it, and if anybody can learn. So that was your first podcast guest. I'm looking forward to get and understand the full picture of that. But as you've just started your new podcast, I wanted to understand what is the story behind By the Regular People, because I know it's a podcast, then it's also a community. I wanted to understand the thought behind that entire mission.
Yeah, sure. So by regular people actually came first, and then the podcast is just to I'll talk about by regular people first, which is coming from the premise that we are all content creators, and we are all have the ability to create and share content on the different channels that we all know exist out there. And in my opinion, it's critical now for us as individuals to understand that tool and to use in our favor, especially for our professional advancement. But there is a lot of fear and insecurities around content creation, and I want to spread the message that we are all creators, and content can be created and shared by regular people. So that's By Regular People. It's a project that we just launched, where we create content in community using a network of support and expertise from different individuals in order to help us and everyone to create content. And I will leverage and I will make use of that network as well, because I do have my questions and insecurities around content creation. And then the podcast is kind of launched under that umbrella, just to show that, to kind of demystify what it is to launch a podcast, and to show that, a regular folk like me can also launch a podcast. A regular folk like me can also have a guest like Kim Scott. So it's just to show, regular people, not influencers, people that are very good at it. Those folks, they already have it sorted out. And I want to show the regular folk you can create content too. And that's the message that I wanna pass on.
That's great. I love it, and that's pretty good because it's short, it's crisp, it's also to the point, and I love the intent behind it. Uh, so I wanted to also understand, how has the journey been so far from you creating your first piece of content, and also how has the journey been from the first time you created content until your last content that you posted last week?
Ooh, so my journey, I can think of, I have always been fascinated by content creation. I'm gonna reveal my age now, but when I was about 14 years old and my brother, younger brother, was 12, we got a present from our parents, and it was, those old cameras that had the cassette in it. And I think it was the first time that I got to experience what was to, film something and create something. And we were editing video in camera, so filming, cutting, filming, and we had a lot of fun. But then we kind of left that behind, and I got into college, university. I have a law degree. I did law back home. Worked with tax law for 2 years, but I wasn't really happy, and so that's why I came to Ireland, because I saw learning English as an opportunity to work for a multinational company, maybe on the communication sector. So that was my goal. Moving forward, I'm in Ireland. It's been 11 years. And then of those 11 years, I did a lot of things. And in the majority of the jobs that I had, I always kind of navigated towards the opportunity to create content, to create visual things, to create little videos for the teams, to create events. And I was always the one doing those things. So when I joined the organization that I am now, the opportunity rose again, because I think there is a kind of knowledge barrier that, well, it's decreasing, but back then there was a bit of a knowledge barrier that would stop people from creating content, understanding about photography, understanding about video creation. And because I was curious enough to try that, I ended up being seen as someone that has knowledge on content creation. And that's what allowed me to get into the journey, to try to be better, and to get the job that I have today, which involves content creation. Then on LinkedIn or on other social media platforms, My first goal on content creation was probably around 3 years ago. And it only came when I started to understand who I was as a professional and when I had a clear career path. So then I was able to share on LinkedIn, which is a professional platform, things that I was good on or things that I want other people to know based on my expertise. But even then, if you go through my posts, I was still trying to figure out, I was going to talk about AI, about customer support, about recruitment, about HR. I wasn't really sure. And it was only when I had the opportunity to help people with their LinkedIn profile and with their personal brand. And not because I was an expert, but just because I knew more than those folks that I was helping, that I kind of found my path, at least for now, which was to help people with their personal brand and professional profile. And then I started to create content around that, and then started to get an audience. I started to explore different ways of content creation: video, audio, images. And I was also able to give my twist, which is add a little bit of humor to it. And that's when I became maybe a little bit more, I don't want to use the word successful, but I got a little bit more engagement. And that's my journey around content creation. I hope it's clear.
No, it's pretty good because I love how you mentioned like from the first time you got camera and also exploring all those small things, because the learning continues to grow because all these new platforms come in, and at least in the digital content creation space, and I would say not even digital, like content creation space as an all. If you are out for just a month, you would lose the understanding of a new tool that just came into the market. Because I remember I took a small break during COVID from content creation, and all of a sudden, everybody was talking about Clubhouse, and I was like, "What's Clubhouse?" But it wasn't just like Clubhouse as a new tool. It was already a big brand, and everybody was like, "Oh, you don't know, there's a lot happening." But I for a certain amount of time thought like I was just away for like 30 to 60 days, and the entire landscape moved from all about video to very shorter form videos, and then also very much audio relevant, where people had the access of just connecting very easily without the concern of how am I looking, and just being present in a small group across the world, connecting through a small app. So yeah, that was something very very visible from that journey. And it's always like this. It's the more you help others succeed and help others understand this, you'll realize that you're first firming your own education, but you're also going towards building that community and helping others to understand that
For sure.
goal of content creation, and helping.
And are you still in Clubhouse? Do you still use it? Or?
So I am still in Clubhouse, but I have not tested it out. I would be honest and transparent. Clubhouse is a place where I've gone a lot of times as a member, but then I don't know, because I somehow still think that I don't know that product that much for getting my feet wet, and that's one reason where I go and attend events, and only till that extent I've been there. But apart from that, I've not explored further than attending a certain event for a certain author or somebody that I'm following actively being hosting an event.
Okay.
What about you? Like, is Clubhouse an active part of your regular social media creation, or are you also using it for events that you're part of?
No. I'm very lean. It's not my 9 to 5. I don't make money out of it. It's more like a hobby and something that I'm passionate about. So if it is for me outside work, I try to, be as lean as possible. So that at the moment, my focus is on LinkedIn, which in my opinion is professional-wise probably the best platform out there. I was part of the Clubhouse hype. Even had a little bit of addiction, trying to figure out, and I think comes from the curiosity. And I did build good relations and was able to connect with really interesting people. But today, I don't use it at all.
Yeah. Okay. No, I totally understand because I realized at least during this time of the entire COVID, dispersion, I say, because COVID has kind of signified because a lot of us lost a lot of personal connections. Everybody was in a lockdown. Everybody had to decide that one medium where a lot of people gave more focus towards, and that has also been the time where I've diverted personally away from Facebook as a platform or Twitter as a platform,
Mhm.
because I realized that I want to create content where maybe the viewership is not that much, but I am feeling like I'm creating content in a safer space. And in
Mm.
the last 12 months, I think that has been for me the biggest change, where I've seen a lot of creators move to a certain segment. Somebody that I know created a lot of content on YouTube. They've moved solely on TikTok because in a matter of 12 months they gained almost 800,000 followers on TikTok, and they started getting that kind of attention, the brand deals, and they thought that this is where they want to progress. Where for me, I also realized that even though I might be getting results, but might not be on the right direction or pathway. And when I changed that, understood my niche, what I want to achieve, I've actually now solely distributed my content on LinkedIn, and the second biggest platform for me will be Instagram, where I'm like trying to tap into
Interesting.
my own niche or my own audience.
Okay. And
Uh,
what? No, go
yes,
on.
please. No, no.
Who's your audience? If
My
you.
audience is the talent that will be joining the industry today or in the
Uh-huh.
next coming years.
Ah.
And that's why, towards that younger audience, I would be moving towards their first time jobs. Maybe they're on an internship. Maybe there are some people that are looking at the first time networking opportunity on a new
Mm.
platform. So those are, my content niches where I would want to help people find the manager, the mentor, the coach I wanted like 5, 10 years ago when I started. Like, because I've been lucky to find people that have helped me understand those concepts, how the business works, how you can manage people, manage business, manage your own self. Like, we're all like ourselves a small business if you look at your 9 to 5, and also, after that, whatever you're doing. So you have to run your own self in a positive way. And these are the things that I want to provide to my niche. And I was segueing away from this as I mentioned that COVID has become the perfect opportunity for people to direct attention at one social platform. Why is LinkedIn Leon's first choice?
Uh, I think it's the place where I got the most amount of engagement, to be
Mhm.
honest. And then that's probably why. I do feel that professionally speaking, it's a good place to be. It's the most trustable platform, and it has been for the past couple of years. The fact that everyone has to have an identity probably makes it a nice and safe place for most part to be. And I would argue and say that there's a massive amount of users, but not as big as other platforms. So probably more space for people to be creative, and for people to explore, to make connections, networking, and all that. Is not as packed or clogged as other channels. So it's a great place to be, and I definitely recommend every time that I talk to a friend and they're trying to explore other platforms to push their content and promote their professional brand. I'm like, LinkedIn is the place to be. Organically, you can have a great reach organically as an individual, even without a lot of connections as well. So as long as you are creating content of quality, as long as you are being kind, human, and respectful, it will pay off to use LinkedIn for whatever purpose you have, professional, as an organization, or as an individual to get a job, as an individual to promote your work. For me, is the place to be.
Amazing, amazing. There are a couple of nuggets over there that you mentioned. Like first, it's a really nice place at the moment where I would say the supply of content is a lot less than the demand. So it's a great place at the moment to grow organically. Um, for me, the way you mentioned that it's a great place to be, where you're looking for a couple of things and you get them all in one place. Where looking at building that career profile for yourself, for your potential employer, for building your own brand, you have one place to focus all these energies, and the
Hmm.
results will all be from all different avenues, but in one platform. Um, Looking at your personal branding journey, I've seen that you've gone through a lot of roles. How did you discover your personal brand? I know it's still in a part of evolution, but so
Hmm.
far, what would your biggest inspiration be, and what were the best advices you got through that way? Yeah, like entire journey that you have taken.
Best advice. I go with the best advice. I think that's clear. A lot of people say that stop caring about other people's opinion. That will bring you a long way, I feel. And then, what was the other question? My journey on my personal branding.
Yeah. So, your personal branding journey, how has this been, like from your first interaction on a digital media platform, or even as a speaker or advisor? How do you say that your personal brand has evolved?
So, well, first of all, I think your ideally your digital brand is a reflection of your offline brand. Otherwise, the effort and energy required to sustain a brand digitally that is not you, might be too much. So I think on LinkedIn or any other social media that I use, when I create content, I just try to reflect a little bit of who I am. Obviously, it's kind of impossible to show the whole me or my whole self. So when I am online, I'm just showing a little bit of who I am, a little bit of what I care about, a little bit of what I am expert on, and a little bit of what I want to do in this world, or one of the things that I want to do, which is, make people be better, become better, use tools better, and achieve the goals that they have for themselves, a job, career progression,
That is so
become
true.
better content creation. So what you see online, and I think what the approach that people should have is just share a little bit of who you are, your mission, your vision, and all that. Almost like an organization. I think same applies to the individual. Then it will be maybe a little bit easier for you to create content. And then the only thing that you have to overcome is the fear of judgment, fear of failure, because then you are being yourself. So if you get criticized, if you get a negative feedback, that will directly impact you. Whereas if you have a brand that doesn't really reflect who you are, and someone criticizes, you might be like, this is not even who I am, so I
So
don't care.
true. Yeah, no, no, that is so true, because being authentic, that's a very significant point, because people don't realize it comes through very easily. Because if you're creating 2 days content, like, hey guys, today I'm talking about, and the third day you're kind of down, the consistent content creation that you will be doing throughout the year, it will reflect inconsistencies, and people can easily pick that up
Good point.
throughout that. The first point that you mentioned, like the best advice you got, I think that is something that just keeps coming back, like internal conversations about, hey, what will people think about me? I've been made fun of in my social circles, because I create content. And these are things that affect us. Like, we're all human beings, and it is nobody wants more attention than they could use, and it just becomes a big part of the block that just puts so many people out of content creation. Have you built a support system around yourself which allows you or keeps pumping you with the positive energy required, or the optimism required to continuously go forward? Because I know being consistent is also a big hurdle for a lot of people. People can get started but then
Hmm.
jump out of that consistent behavior of continuously posting or improving. How have you maintained the consistency throughout?
Well, books, influencers, they are my support system and system of and a system that I use to push me forward. There are a lot of people, that I follow across the board, uh, that talks about, moving forward, don't give up, creator content. So I get inspiration from, even from you today. I always look at people and see their best, and I'm like, wow, this is cool. Sometimes I apply directly. So there are things that I learned from you today that I will, already implement on my strategy, especially with the podcast. There are things that, I put on my archive. I'm like, oh, this is interesting, this is cool, and I use it in the future. But I'm always seeking for words of encouragement from everywhere. And then friends and family, I think they always help. That's probably my first network support, or my main network support, but they help. Their support is more, it's like a moral support. Is usually, oh, nice work, good one, I love what you do, but it's not always honest or candid. It's talking about King Scott.
Yeah.
So it's funny because I still don't have people that I can rely on a constant basis that will tell me the truth about the content that I create. So, for example, the first episode of my podcast, well, thinking about it, I'm probably my biggest critic anyway. So I don't need anyone to say how not great the job that I'm doing are. So looking back to my first episode, I had a good few listeners in between friends, people that work with me and all that. And I knew the podcast wasn't great. My
Yeah.
first one's impossible. I was nervous and all that.
Not at all.
Um,
Like, uh, I wanted to just interrupt. Look, I looked at a couple of pieces from your introduction to the By the Real People, like the initial cut that you put out, and also the
yeah.
hurdle. It's actually very well put together, because if you look at from um, an ads student background, I personally really love that there's a raw cut at the beginning or the end. If it's intentional or not, I'm not sure, but it's so well put together that it shows the authenticity that we just spoke about, that we can
Mm,
edit that out or we can cut that out. Another reason why this podcast, I've decided that I will continue to do this at least live for the longest time, at least for the first 100 episode. So I don't get the opportunity to cut those pieces out, because I've created content a long time now, different pieces. But I think the hardest and the toughest has been podcasts, because I don't think we have gone ever in this much depth of listening to our own selves, speak. But
yeah.
we learn so much when we're interacting with other people. Like, if you're
Yeah.
interrupting others, do you ask the right questions? Do you use not? And I think this is a project by itself. And I think that your point of being your own biggest critique is, yeah, it's like, I think that becomes a major part of when it comes to content creation. But it happens so much that we don't realize in about 6 months time or 12 months time. If you see your video from 2 years ago and then today, you would have seen that, oh, so much has happened. And others that stay with you might not be able to tell that, but people that meet you after 1 year would easily be able to pick. So I want you to just continue that point, but I had to stop you when you said like it wasn't as good, because for me it has been perfect when it comes to like your first episode. I was almost breaking down in my first podcast episode because I was nervous, and just around the first mark I forgot everything. I forgot everything, and it was just like me blabbing on a live show. But yeah, that was okay because it's a part of the content creation thing. So uh,
That's
everything.
why I don't do. That's why I don't do it live. And to your point, that saying, if you look back to your work from 1 year ago and you don't feel ashamed, you are doing something wrong. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
the point.
That is actually very true. Yes.
But it's definitely an exercise of self awareness exercise, doing a podcast, and then you're doing live and all. But I don't, so I go through the footage again and I have to edit it, and I'm like, oh my god, should I leave this? Should I remove it? My pronunciation wasn't perfect there. Should I leave it? Should I remove it? And going back to the network of support, then today a friend of mine sent me a more I want to say honest feedback, saying, listen, I love what you did, but maybe, if you're more like an interview, you're a very good communicator. I didn't see you sharing your points. You were more, asking questions and she was answering, and that was it. I know you can do better. Maybe you can try, guests that you feel more comfortable with. And just gave me a couple of tips there. So it was, among maybe I think 40 listeners that I had so far over the past 5 days. It was the first one that sent a message, really giving me tips on how he thinks I could improve. So I really appreciate it, because that's what I on top of me looking back and what he said, nothing was new, because I agree with everything, but it's nice to have someone saying, listen,
Oh,
this could be better, this could be
exactly.
better. And that's what regular people will be about as well. If we create that psychological safety to tell each other and say, I didn't like this, or this could be better, that would be a great spot to be.
Yeah, that is amazing. And coming back to the point, of honest feedback.
Mm,
Biggest concern about creating, and my biggest fear, I've been creating content for 4 years plus now.
wow.
I have been super scared starting to create content on LinkedIn, because over here are our potential buyers, potential brand partners, potential employers, or my potential boss. People don't want to make the wrong impression, like, hey, this guy is experimenting and all that. That's another bigger voice that is stopping a lot of people. Might be doing a lot of TikTok videos. I know so many people, like everybody has a
Yeah.
TikTok channel now, but sharing content pieces which are similar over here to my potential you know uh, big brand partnership, that is a very big scare for a lot of people.
Yeah.
How would you deal with that? Any advice for someone young, someone just starting up, or somebody that is listening to this and wants to start creating content but is always thinking about not LinkedIn because I don't want my bosses to see what I'm doing?
Yeah, I think people still feel that LinkedIn is maybe too serious, or so people say it's like being in an office. And I would disagree. And to overcome the fear of creating, what I would say is to create. There are different ways to create content on LinkedIn. Okay, you can go into your timeline and you can type something, share a video, a photo, or whatever. But there are other ways that you can experiment content creation, and which is through the content that is shared by other people on the platform. So if you see Mark sharing a piece of content, for example, this is an opportunity. And every time that someone is sharing a piece of content, there are opportunities for you to create what I call, that's another official term, micro content creation. So which is a comment that you're gonna place on someone else's content. Usually the normal behavior of someone when they like a piece of content, they would say, they would engage with a like or with an insightful light bulb, or some of them would even say, I love this is great, keep it up. Almost like family when they want to push you forward, and they say they are doing a good job. They never say why. Going back to Kim Scott again, it's always, oh yeah, great work, I love what you're doing. So because of that, you have an opportunity to do and place engage meaningfully with the content that is being created on LinkedIn. So if it's a post that's talking about a subject that you enjoy or that you like, maybe you can ask a meaningful question, or you can share your views on what the author is saying. And I think that's gonna get you because content creation, a lot of it is about flow as well, and that's gonna get you on the flow of utilizing LinkedIn first of all, and then on the flow of creating small pieces of content, sharing your opinion about different subjects. And one day, hopefully you're gonna feel ready to maybe share that opinion, but on your timeline, about a subject that is important to you, about an expertise that you have. But it will be a process, and if you are one of those folks that have that insecurity and fear of creation, and I have every single time that I create, disclaimer, it might take some time for you to feel comfortable and click share. Things to be aware of, the industry that you work in, the type of content that you post about. So my philosophy is always try to be kind, always try to add value, try to avoid subjects that are too charged, because they might play against you, unless you are in a position of someone that it is already talking about those subjects. At least at the start, try to understand. It's like joining a new group of friends or a new social circle. Look around, try to understand what is it like, experiment things here and there with the comments on other people's posts. And then when you feel comfortable, try to create something, but adding value, being kind. There is a triad of content creation, and maybe you know that, Mark, and then I shut up, but is content, the type of content that gets the most amount of engagement on the different social medias, and it will be the same for LinkedIn, is they are either educating, so you're helping someone to do something. They are entertaining, so they are fun, lots of energy, colors, images, or they are inspiring, people talking about their journey could be your journey of trying to create content on LinkedIn, and you could be sharing that. There is a lot of opportunity on LinkedIn for you to help others with your own perspectives. And it is incredible. Every now and then when I post a piece of content, people would message me directly and say, oh my God, I really needed to read this, or to listen to what you had to say, or your video was really fun, it made my morning, which is, for me, it's they don't know what they're doing consuming my content, but it's nice to get that type of feedback.
Yeah. No, it's also like what I wanted to highlight was, it's great that you highlighted the three areas that you either create content on: educating, entertaining, or also inspirational. A lot of people try and lock themselves up in a system rather than thinking like you need to first understand what your content is about, what your brand is about, and who do you want to serve this content to. And then you can tap all these different areas. Everybody has a story that can inspire someone. You don't have to inspire an auditorium. You can inspire that one person that sees this today. You can post this today, and after 3 years time, where you have forgotten about this piece of content, somebody might be during a very tough time, or might see this post and get the inspiration 3 years later, and they might reach out to you, and you'll be surprised. For people that create content for a long time, they'll be surprised by the comments they're getting for something they created almost 6 years ago. Like, hey, I really got the inspiration. I've started doing this and I've taken this learning. And this is what you have to do. Like, if you feel like creating an entertaining piece of content, do that today. That's your personality. That is what you feel like today. And you can, by all means, do that. You feel like doing something that is educational, do that in your own niche, but try and, understand the direction. I think my biggest learning in the content creation space is you don't have to create content to please everyone. It's the same in life. You don't have to please everyone. Just like there's a content creator that I personally, am super inspired by, Shanae Moray. Somebody I for one inspirational quote that completely switched my mind and just blocked all the negative talk was, "You're not creating content for everyone. You're looking for people that are looking for your content." So, just with that mindset, continue to do what you're doing, be yourself, be your authentic self, and be honest with your own, vibe, and just start giving it out in the world. And your tribe, your community members, your social circle, you'll find the people throughout that journey to come join you in, your pursuit of finding your personal brand. um,
Yeah. And
you know,
here's,
yes,
just one add. You can create content at any time, but there is one thing which is creating content in my concept, and there's another thing which is share the content that you are creating. So you can start creating content right now. You can start writing. You can have a notepad, a physical one or a digital one on your computer. Gather pictures, gather quotes, pictures from you, from the work that you're doing, document your journey, write about it, and one day you'll be ready to share that. Or maybe one day you won't, but I think it's a nice exercise to be paying attention to life a little bit more closely and writing about it and reflecting on it and draw conclusions and learnings from it. And then eventually you might even be able to share with friends offline, having a conversation over a dinner table because of a reflection that you had, on one evening thinking about career progression. Maybe you won't share that on the platform, but you'll be able to share that with friends because you took time to reflect on it. So it can bring a lot of positive things.
That's a very powerful point. I love this idea. And someone that I personally know, she does this very actively because she is not sure if she should be posting on LinkedIn. So what she does is she creates content every day and she saves it on her phone. And right after a month, she will then be like, okay, I will pick A, B, X, and Z, 4 pieces from that last month. And she'll say, I'll post this. But what she's doing
Ah,
is she is getting very good at creating content pieces every day. And now, if I look at all my friends that are in the content space, she might be the person that has 200 videos just sitting in her, phone or other hard drives. Where I'm like, if you get into a habit of daily posting, she will have content for the next 1 year, like set. Like, while we're
perfect.
struggling at what to post, that's a very powerful exercise, and I've tried implementing that on my day. That I will take her exact example on recording a video every day, even though not posting it. You never know that, you
Mm.
record that piece of content, a small tip, something that inspired you. And she uses a 3-step rule in that. She
Uh-huh.
says it's going to be either me, it's either going to be my friend, or it's either going to be the world. And in
Oh.
doing so, what she is saying that anything in this world, if you have to even create content spontaneously, you can talk about yourself because you have experiences with almost everything. If you have not experienced something like bungee jumping, skydiving, your friend has. And if you want to
Mm.
talk about something which is global, like the pandemic or tech, then talk about the world, talk about a certain news. And then she says that this 3-step rule can be applied to anything. So if you have been like told to speak in front of an audience and you don't know what to talk about, the 3-step rule will allow you to speak about almost anything and have something to talk about in front of. And that's where I'm always trying to push her, like, you need to start creating content more, girl, because your ideas
Wow.
in that regard are just fabulous.
That's interesting. The curating content every day. I see people going through that challenge. Maybe I'll try that after summer when I'm less busy.
Yes, definitely. It's like, and definitely implementing something similar to that in the by regular people community, because that's something that I personally, got to know you from your post about building that community, or creating
Mm,
content about building a community of support systems. That is where I explored your content and your work from. And that was where I was thinking about, this is great, because I've always been someone that thrived from being someone who would be super scared in speaking in a different culture, because I worked in Asia, I've worked in Australia, now I'm in Europe. Everywhere you have a different system. So I've been in boardroom meetings where you will be told that, hey guys, we have to do this, and you won't have any say. And then having that kind of open exposure where your boss will be like, hey, you have not spoken, I want to know your feedback, it will be valued. So coming into that, how important is building a culture in your workplaces, and also apart from the workplaces, is to make other people feel safe, like everybody should have a voice. How important is that?
yeah. Well, actually, if you follow my podcast, on my third episode, I speak to a specialist in collaboration.
Mhm.
I won't give too many spoilers, but he talks about collaboration and what is needed in order for an organization to thrive, and what kind of balance you have to have in between profiles and personalities, and psychological safety for sure is critical. Not only for because it will give people the ability to speak and give their opinions, but also it will give people the ability to give each other's feedback. And there is no other way we can improve as a group and as a collective if we are not telling each other where we are making our mistakes. So I mean, it's super important, and I feel that is a balance that it's hard to sort out. I don't think I've been in many places where everyone could sit on a table or be on a meeting, and they were all able to share, honest and constructive feedback about projects, about things that people were involved in. So it's yeah, it's hard, but it's critical for evolution. And then one of the points that this individual makes, episode number 3, folks.
I'm
um
actually gonna post the link of that episode on the comment section of our LinkedIn, live session. So
okay,
we'll have actually, link to this. So I'll just add that stream link. So if anybody wants to go through the entire podcast.
yeah. So the podcast is not out yet, so it'll be out in so this one will be out in probably 4 weeks.
Mhm.
But one of the things that he says that is critical, I just lost my line of thought. Feedback, collaboration. I forgot.
So I think we might all have to now wait, and then have that suspense till the podcast is now launched, because I,
That's in
I, I,
purpose.
that I think it was a hook, guys, ladies and gentlemen. This is how Leon wanted us to visit the podcast that will be shared with us in about 4 weeks' time. But
In four four
I,
weeks time. Fantastic guy. He even has a TED talk and all, and I really want to remember that point now. Ooh, it's gonna bother me the whole night. As soon as the live
you
finish,
spoke
I'll
about
remember.
how important is collaboration, and how different teams within an organization should be working together and have a certain understanding on how they function to build that kind of
Yeah,
comfort level. We
yeah,
can try, and definitely if you come up with what the point is, we can definitely revisit that. I want
for
to
sure.
now understand, like, we're
Yeah,
we're in a different space. the workplaces are evolving, the work brands are evolving. We've actually seen that almost 3, 4, 5, half a decade ago, people might not even care what your brand stands for. They'll only
Mhm.
concern themselves with, hey, what am I getting paid with? Uh, right now, they do care. What is my brand standing for? What does my brand, communicate like globally? What are my brands or my employers' belief, values, and
Mm.
do we walk those values? How important is employers branding in today's day and age?
So, well, it is important because all of the facts that you just mentioned, people are more cognizant of the organizations that they work for, what they stand for, what the work environment is, what the culture is like, and even product services and all that. So I think the main goal of employer branding initiatives in our organization, it is to tell the story of what is it like to be part of that community, and what could it be like if you joined. So telling the truth, obviously in a nice way and all that, but always telling the story of this is what it could be like if you joined our community called company X. So for me, that's what employer branding is. um, and it's critical because when you decide who you're going to work for, if you make the wrong decision, it's not great, neither for you, neither for who hired you in that role. And there will be a lot of energy invested in trying to make this right, or if you have to look for another opportunity as well, a lot of energy invested there. So that's why it's critical when you are being interviewed that you interview as well, that you do your research, that you understand what that organization is about, to make sure and to minimize the possibilities of you making a decision that won't be, optimal for you. So yeah, critical. The organizations are telling their story and they're being honest, and critical for us as employees that we are researching and trying to understand what that story is about.
Yeah, the point about research is so good, because I've seen that a lot of people don't realize that the research part is critical to your understanding of who you are, because it has to be an internal research of what your values are, and are they aligned with the company that you're applying for. Second is, you need to understand the concept, as you mentioned, that when they're asking you questions, you need to ask them the right questions as well, because I don't see that a lot of times happening. That part is either missed or skipped due to the transition or process completely not even being there. And then what ends up happening is, as you mentioned, like there's a waste of time, then waste of resources. There's nobody creating that win-win, because you guys are not made for each other. It's just like
Mm.
a broken relationships. And this comes to the point where, you know employees are also starting to get the point. Very few, there's a smaller number, but I've seen that in a rise where now employees are starting to share their stories. They have started that
Mm.
I need to also be a brand in my
Mhm.
own, and build, I would say, value system around myself. What do I stand for, and what my, I would say, brand, what would I say, what my brand communication pieces are, and they need
Mhm.
to start sharing those stories. Have you seen transition from the previous workforce to the current workforce, where employee branding is also something that is picking up?
Mm, I think we can see more. I'm not sure if it's picking up, but of course, I think it's a must for companies to have brand ambassadors. There was a post on social media circulating maybe a week ago or so, or maybe 2 weeks ago, showing how many followers Tim Cook has, how many followers Apple has, and I don't remember what the other company was. Maybe it was Tesla, but the point of that post was the individuals behind the companies had more followers than the companies themselves, showing the power of personal branding, employer branding, and employee advocacy. And because we consume and we trust in people. Obviously, brands are trustworthy as well, but it's more likely for me or for individuals out there when I post a story about me in the company that I work for. When you do the same, when individuals do the same, it just sounds more genuine than the company handle trying to push a story to you. I think that's just the way it is because it's from people to people. So it's super important that for organizations that employees feel that they can do that. But there is a skill gap, because you need understand a little bit of storytelling in order to do that well. Probably, I feel so to some people it comes naturally, but other people need a little bit of work, and that's another barrier in regards to content creation. How am I gonna structure it all in a nice way? And that's probably one of the barriers for me in content creation as well, because my head is all over the place, and to actually write it down and put a story on paper, it's very, very challenging for me. So you have to figure that out. Summarize it all. Super important for organizations to have employees that are advocating for them and telling what is it like to work there. And on the other hand, individuals, you want to bulletproof your career. You want to develop that self-awareness and assessment exercise, which is content creation, and even thinking about your journey internally in an organization. If you're looking to have a job, your profile will stand out just because of the simple fact that not everyone is doing so. So you can become do you see the content that Mac is creating lately about working for company X, Y, and Z? And that's how I got my, the opportunity to get the job that I am today, by the simple fact that I was one of the individuals doing what they deemed being doing well. So great opportunities across the board. And last but not least, let me talk about this as well, which I think is an interesting trend. I think employees and even recruiters, they would become almost like community managers within these different social media platforms. So it won't be only about posting content there and forgetting and thinking about next week. If people engage with your content, if people are asking questions, or if you see other people posting things about brands or the companies, brands that you care for, or companies that you work with, as a community manager for your organization, you want to be there to answer those questions. You want to be there to address questions that, let's say, candidates might have about working for your company, but the questions that were not asked towards you or were not asked towards your company, but you saw there and you'd be like, oh yeah, I actually work there. That's how it works. I think that's going to be the next step for employees and especially recruiters, I feel.
That is a very fabulous point. Thanks for that, Leon. I think you have structured that talk very well. And for me, the most powerful thing that I got out of that was we're seeing that it's actually happening both ways. The point that you mentioned, like some of the brands have less followers than the people associated to those brands. And this we see across the globe. So Tesla for Elon Musk, or Tim Cook for when it comes to Apple, and the same thing happens for Satya Nadella to Microsoft. You're looking at people, Bill Gates and Microsoft being that. So we're looking at employers now thinking of having brand ambassadors, for community managers, for people that would be advocating for their brands. And, these are people that would actually be authentic, creating a relationship with their audience, and, be advocating for a certain niche of their own, and these are the content they'll be creating, the conversations that they'll be having. But very well said. I'm actually looking forward to the more exciting content creation time, because uh, I also love the fact that there is some hurdles, there's always some difficulties, but at the end of the day, it's also become very easy to be able to start something like digitally. I can start a news channel, I can start a podcast, I can start a digital community so easily and choose whatever format I want. There will be a format out there to support
Yeah.
you and allow you to uh, be given a launch pad with billions of people just out there searching for the kind of content that you have to produce. So
Yeah.
this is amazing stuff. So Leon, a lot about the personal branding and the branding of yourself, content creation we have spoken about. Now comes the exciting part where I explore my guest. And this is going to be the part that allows us to uncover 5 different avenues of your life. Um, I have a cards deck over here. I'm gonna pick it out in front of you so you know
I'm
that I'm not
preparing.
here. So we've got 6 different areas, and you can pick any 5. I'll allow you to skip one if you want, or if there's a guest that wants to answer all, I would actually even take that. So we have 6 categories: entrepreneurship,
Mm.
random, the future, the past, self, and relationships. Which would be
Uh,
the first one?
Entrepreneurship.
Entrepreneurship. Let's go with entrepreneurship. Let me take this up from the middle. And Leon, you can see that I am creating no,
Did
you
you
know.
buy this? Is it?
Oh, yeah. So these are card decks that allow me to think of ideas that I want to explore myself. And now I've actually gotten one for icebreaker. So allows me to,
Wow.
create that for. So
Interesting.
nice for entrepreneurship. The card that has come up is recent moments of happiness in your business.
My business.
Yeah.
Well,
So it can be a venture, it can be anything.
yeah, I think, I had the first 3 meetings, as you know, I had the first 3 meetings of by regular people this week. Um, and it was very nice. It was very nice to see the caliber of the people that decided to be part of that journey, and almost unbelievable. So we are 15 individuals that kind of trusted on the project that I had in mind, and a project that I even had or have figured it out myself. But they decided to be there, and then we had our first 3 meetings. 3 hours in total per week is gonna be so a lot, but it was nice. It was nice to see it happening. So that was a happy moment.
That is great. And after entrepreneurship, if I have to ask future or the past, which one do you want to visit first?
Let's go with the future.
Let's go with the future. I have a few cards in front. Let's take the card on the middle so I'm not cheating again. Okay, let's come on. So we have the trip. Oh, so we're talking about the future trip that you're planning to take that will cost you under $500.
Going to the Irish countryside tomorrow. Visit a friend.
Nice. That's good. That's good. And it's always great, to be honest. Like, I've been here only 4 years, out of which 2 years have been taken out by pandemic, guys.
Yeah.
So, I've still yet not explored that much, but so far, whatever I've uncovered, it's an entire different experience if you go towards a different direction. I've recently discovered, the Trim Castle, where the movie Braveheart was, shot. And yeah, it's like it's a very spectacular site if you go towards me. But do let me know if you find something exciting similar. It might be my next trip as well, and it's also under $500. We're endorsing tourism over here now. And with the future, now we're visiting the past. Should we go ahead with the past?
Yeah.
Okay, let's pick out the next card. Oh, things we should have learned in high school.
Economics.
Economics.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
More about economics in high school. Okay,
Yeah.
brilliant.
I didn't have that in mind anyway. Maybe in other places you do, but I have none. So I had to figure things out myself, and I still haven't. So
Yeah, apologies
stuff.
for the reaction. I was forced to take economics because there was no part I would
You're
skip
for
that,
see, that's
and
why you
that's
are
why
where
I
you
was
are
like, oh
today.
wow, like, because I was like, economics forced as a subject. I was like, at that point, it did not matter to me, but now I understand the importance of it. Like understanding how everything works is a great thing.
Yeah.
So for our next part, do we
Hmm.
want any two from random, self, and relationships?
Random.
Let's go for random. And the card we have is the most useful object that you have.
Jesus. Okay. I. You know what? That we could. I mean, my phone, of course. My phone.
I think this was something I was thinking like, is he gonna pick his camera or he has a favorite book? Because Leon kept turning. It's like, but no, it's like I think it for a lot of us is now the phone. Like, if phone wasn't an option, what would that be? I want to put you in that difficult situation, Leon.
Yeah,
If
phone
phone
would be.
wasn't that, then what would be the most useful object for you?
Yeah, phone is useful, but it's not my favorite. So I would probably say useful. I don't have a lot of stuff, being completely honest, but I'm just gonna be safe here. I'm gonna pick my laptop. Ah,
Leon picked both gadgets, guys. I just want
I'm
you
a
to be
guy.
clear.
Yeah. I don't have a lot of stuff gadget wise. Sometimes I indulge and then I sell everything back. So yeah, my laptop. I can watch movies. I can talk to my family. I can do this call. I can work from it. So that's already
The most
70% of my life awake.
amazing. No, thanks for that, Leon. So far, spectacular. To close this very amazing conversation that we have had, are we going to go for relationships or self?
Let's go with relationships.
Mhm. So let's pick up things you're looking for in a relationship.
In a relationship. So I will talk about. I will pick friendship. Okay.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, to have a laugh. That's what I'm looking for. Probably, yeah, critical.
Yeah.
If I had to
Um,
pick one thing, yeah.
if you have to pick one thing, it would be laughter. Having those conversations. Thanks, Leon, for all that you have discussed. It has been very insightful. I've personally gotten to learn a number of things, and also like the piece regarding how the move around personal branding and employer branding is changing the entire, I would say, acquisition industry for the new talent coming into the market was something very personally impactful for me. I get to learn from people, like yourself and other people in my social circle. You've been kind enough to join this discussion. I also want to, add this that this was when I decided to start creating content. My first email that I sent out, which was also not the most perfect email outreach, which I was pretty scared with. I sent like around 25, and Leon was kind enough to get back, gave me time to schedule one of these podcast conversations. Thanks a lot for that. It is helping me get on that ladder of content creation. Also, continuously, challenge myself to create more, know more about the industry I am a part of, and also explore and connect with people like yourself. So it has been fabulous. I am gonna thank all the people that have joined us in this entire conversation on LinkedIn, on YouTube, and also our community on Facebook. If you guys want to connect with Leon, I'm going to post his initials on LinkedIn. I'm also going to share the podcast number 3 that he hooked with a very, very suspenseful
That's
insight.
only for podcast number 3 is only 4 weeks, guys. So you have
4 weeks
to
away. So
focus.
I'm going to post that. Whenever that's posted, it's going to come in the comment section over here, and I'm going to add that in the description. But that's Leon for you. Get connected to him on LinkedIn. His socials are mentioned over here. Leon, have a great weekend. All of you as well. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.